One thing we never adequately addressed last year when we had this whole setup was how to feed the calves with these buckets. These buckets are great, and they work fantastic on the flat fence. But the flat fence doesn't fit the gate panel. The flat gate panel doesn't fit in this location because to turn it around would make it not as useful for the buckets as it is over there. But with more calves, we need more space and this pen. And now these are meant to work on these panels like that. Problem is, if I put that in there, the calves are going to knock it out. It's going to go all over the place. And if I have to pour the milk in, then I got to try and pour in through the gate, which isn't practical. We had a disaster this morning. So what I need to do, the buckets are great because you can put the nipple on the other side instead of this side. Put there, hang it here, and they can drink from inside. I can pour the milk in from out here. Except on these gates, the nipple gets obstructed by the panel, and the lower you go, the worse it is. So I have to create something to hang these on the outside at the right height so the nipple is in between where the calves can stick their head through and get hold of it. Because again, putting these over, not only is it, I can't reach where they need to go and the calves start bucking it when they're hungry, but down there I need two hands and you still have all these other buckets. And by the time I get them all deployed and try to pour the milk in, they're already moving them around. Thank you, Fonzie, for being a demonstrator. So, I'm going to come up with a solution, put it on the outside to be able to hang the buckets with the nipples pointed inward and just pour the milk along. And I think I've come up with a solution that should work. The other complication of all this is when the buckets are all aligned and they're drinking, they tend to jostle them. So whatever I have on here has to have some kind of latch so they can't just bump the buckets and spill the milk. Especially the fuller these get, the more easily the milk can go everywhere. And now that we've got all 5 trained to the sucker buckets, and the new one's still getting, is on mom and getting bottle fed. So we have 5 buckets. We're going to make a thing that's long enough for 5 in a row, which is, markings on this tape are really not great. There's 1 foot, 2 foot, 3 foot, 4 foot. Needs to be wider than 4 foot. Should probably be 5 foot. If it was 5 foot, we could do that. Only problem is the gate is, okay, 5 foot. Right, we're going to be outside of these things here. So as long, and those are at 4 foot. Okay, I'm starting to develop a plan. And this has to sit here. Where's your head? Where's your head, darling? Kind of sit like there. To be at the right, for the nipple to be at the right height, like at Fonzie's head there. Okay. All right, and I can't be any deeper here than 2x6 is perfect for that. And it needs to be 5 foot long. So let's go into the shop. This here might work. I had this as a grain bin that sat on the inside of that fence, eats up space on the inside, but when the calves were weaned and were older and eating grain, this worked pretty good. But that does mean if it's on the inside, you can't fold that gate up against the wall to clean in there. So that was the drawback to this. So let's take this in. I run a handy dandy parlor workshop. I'm gonna take this bucket off. Idea what to do with these. I got another one that's good without holes in it I can use somewhere else. Now, we'll reuse this board. I'm going to take these and repurpose them onto a 2x4 to hang on the gate. Now, I may need to go, I'm going to take this hinge off. We'll need this hinge. that hinge, because that's going to be, all right, so that's going to be essential. My plan, let's keep that. I don't know what that's going to be. All right, I got to take these screws out of here. Alright, we'll mount these in on the gate like that, and they'll hang outside and down. She can do it. Let's drop it down another couple inches, I think. Because otherwise this railing here is in the way and she's having to twist her head. So, this will work okay, except you see they're awful, well, they're, with the nipple on here, they're a little bit easier to, they're a little bit more difficult to get on, but the calves tend to bump them around a lot. So what I want to do, and what would make this different than other applications like this I've seen, I'm going to put a dropping arm on here, on a hinge, that just keeps pressure across all of them, because when they get to pounding on it, if she bucks this, it'll buck, and if it's full, it splashes, and when they're all jostling, these things slide around, they create chaos. So I want to be able to positively capture these in place, and yet I also want to make sure that whatever we put on here will still allow the gate to flow flat so we can clean the pen regularly. So with this gate and this setup, this I think is what I got to do. Still have to reverse the nipples and we'll be good. Alright, so here's my solution. A bar there. And if I, oh, now here's the problem. I was just going to pivot it. I'll put that there. It's too long that way, but that's okay. That's not going to last if I do it that way. I'm going to have to drill that through and put a nut and washer and bolt on there. But if that's up like that, slide this down here. I just need a way of keeping this caught here. Spectre nettle of the calf advocacy group. You cannot have sucker bucket. You're a big kid. What do you think, Madeline? What's the idea? What should we put there? What should we put there? The catch things. A lockdown. Because if these buckets aren't here, I gotta put a stop on there. So I need something that is 2 inches tall that will fit right there, screwed there, that this will rest on when there are no sucker buckets. So we don't want to leave the buckets here. Mabel, is that a good shot? You agree? Good framing? You got it figured out. It's just going to be a simple swing arm latch across the top of the buckets. And it's just got a pressure fit here. It'll wear out eventually and loosen up, but for now, this may not work, so I don't want to involve too much time, but it takes a little bit of pressure to pull up. And this will come up, stay up, buckets can come off, and milk can be poured in. Arm can get down, simple shove, they're all locked in place. So I'm gonna turn the nipples around on the other 4 buckets, get them clean, ready for tonight. The only other chaos then, the buckets won't be an issue, it'll just be a matter of the calves knocking them about and fighting for position which bucket's theirs. It's a little hard because we've got 2 different age groups. Pretty much Cassie, Aurora, and Fonzie are all on 4 quarts of milk, and the 2 new calves are on 2 quarts of milk twice a day. So they're gonna finish a little bit earlier than the big kids and then pester the big kids. But we also have a problem. Fonzie tends to pound his bucket, and we have to add water. We don't want to give them too much milk because that can lead to scours, but we also want to feed them appropriately, but they can also use the extra water. So that's sort of how we've been doing it, and that's the plan. We'll see whether it works tonight. Zoomies! Hello, calf zoomer. Hello, Io. Yay! Well, it's the 1st of April, and I decided it's time to start some cleanup. So we've had a stack of farm metal, scrap and stuff, and an old tractor bucket that it's all bent up and worthless. We're like, really? And not even for scrap metal. It's so deteriorated. So I'm just filling it up with small bits and trying to pick out and clean up this corner because we've had a little bit of criticism that we're done tidy around here. And yes, I know it is often a mess, but we want to fix that. So just remove the, what should we do with that shed? I'm thinking we should sell the frame. I don't have any time in the near future. It was an intern helped me at the sawmill, and we built that together. He designed it. He cut most of the timber joints, and we were going to use it as a little cabin down at the river, but it's just sitting there. It's been sitting there for like 4 years, 3 years. It really, something needs to happen to it. I think there's some more parts and pieces kicking around, but I should just sell it as is. Anyway, so I'm cleaning up, doing some moving stuff around, trying to dress up this place a bit. So there's that. But also 1st of April, what I decided to do this year is start my grass walks for the year, for the season. Now, there is no grass growth on this farm yet. Tiny little bit of greening up here and there so far this spring. I was hoping that it'd be further along by now. But you can see the field's pretty brown still, and it's also really short because it just died back. We didn't get any rain in September and October. I planted that, overseeded it, and there is a little sprinkling of green here and there in the overseeding. So hopefully, fingers crossed, that'll take, or that we'll have a better pasture than last year. I'm trying to figure out how to afford urea because that really needs to go out. So the grass walk, I'll insert a clip next of the Leprechaun technology and the grass walking and the grass measuring tool called the Grasshopper. It's fabulous. I really helped last year make grazing decisions in a way that I didn't think possible after 25, 30 years of grazing, rotational grazing. So that alone was worth the price of admission. So I decided this year to go ahead and start April 1st, and you just walk the farm every week. In fact, I'll also try and find time coming up to do the silage fields, check on them. But also, not only does it get me out in the pastures once a week, looking at the condition of the grass growth, putting eyes on the ground, as it were, every week. It takes an hour tops to do all of my hay fields. I mean, I gotta drive there, but between all the hay fields in here and all the pastures here, walking only takes literally about an hour total. I don't do it all at once because that's miles, and it's like 7 or 8 miles of walking to do all the fields, and driving in between them, obviously. So yeah, I did a grass walk. So I'll put a clip in about a little thing about last year doing the grass walks and the Grasshopper and why it's good. So that should be coming up now. All right, so here we have a shamrock detector. Or is it? This is the Grasshopper rising plate meter with GPS locating technology, whatever, if that's how you call it. I don't know, I'll have to read the brochure maybe. I forget exactly how they phrase it, but this is what we're using to measure grass and map the fields across the farm and our hay fields that are associated with the farm. Now, we'll go out and look and show. We're in the final days of November, so really thinking about grass is kind of the furthest thing from my mind right now, but actually I have been thinking about spring and fertilizing and manure and grass growth next year, and this is going to get us a little head start on that. Now, forgetting the technology, the Leprechaun tech right here, God, and I love this color green. Anyway, the rising plate meter is actually a tool that's been around a long time. You put it on the ground and the plate rises up, probe hits the ground, and this rises up to measure the height of the grass underneath from here to there. And it's fairly lightweight and it's fairly easy sliding, and it just goes along and measures that. Now you add to that GPS location and a sensor that measures the height of the grass, and you really start to get somewhere. Now, we'll show some of the maps and some of the data that are generated by this tool, and literally it just took, I don't even think I was 20 minutes the other day when I filmed myself using this and did a little test of this. And we're actually going to go map 2 other fields right now because I'm having a lot of fun using this thing. Now, we bought this ourselves with the help of a grant that helps us do some soil test and study, because I felt that this was going to be a significantly important tool for management and grazing decisions going forward on this farm. So that's why we spent the money to have this. And True North Industries and More Grass Diet IE, the people who make the Grasshopper, were very generous in saying, hey, we want you to try this. We'll help you. We'll give you a little bit of a break with shipping and everything to the States, because this is the first one, I believe, in the United States, in Maine, ever. And so we're going to trial this, and don't have any association with More Grass, or True North. This is just me trying this out, because I think that the little pieces of technology, like the other piece of leprechaun tech that we got, the moo call, these little things that help take the load off of managing the farm, figuring grass growth, assessing data, and recording statistics and things that are useful to us on the farm, I think they're worth investigating and investing in. So that's why we decided to go and get this, and we'll find out. And you'll come with us on the journey to find out whether this was actually appropriate or a waste of time or money, or whether it was the best thing ever for us. And it will take time to determine that. Going forward, I mean, and here it is. I mean, by the time been working on trying to get this here for months, and by the time everything has come, it finally arrived the other day. So here we are in November. There's no grass growth, but I can start mapping in my spare time when the weather's nice, start mapping fields, and using my downtime when it's not my busy time to start taking some recordings and get everything mapped out, and get an initial read on the grass stands as they are right now. Because there are some fields that actually have residual growth from last summer that wasn't cut. They were cut July and August, or grazed in July and August, and so there's been some regrowth. And in fact, the big field that I measured looks like I could actually possibly, if it was consistent. Now, I took a random sample across the field, and it gave us the results saying that there's about 28 days grazing if I were to turn the cows out there today, except for the fact that my random samples don't allow for the fact that there are sections of the field that haven't started to regrow, and some of the grass that was measured is residue, dead, old residue from before. So my eye tells me that 28 days to try and rely on that at this time of year would be completely folly. But it gives me a base reading so that in the spring, say in March and April, as the weather warms up, as grass starts to regrow, I'll have a comparison, and I can start seeing when the actual grass regrows and start predicting when I can turn my cows out. Can I turn the cows out in the field sooner? And more often, can they regraze with best management practices? And figuring out where to move the cows next has always been a little bit of a limiting factor in my rotational grazing. I've been rotationally grazing cattle for 25 years at least. So that next move has always been the question, and then the move back to the fields that I started in. So I'm really hoping that this is going to help. So let's go measure some. I'm down here in the first field I want to measure, and it's a small little field. It's actually part of a series of fields. But I'm just going to measure this little field and give it a determination. It is really cold out here, by the way. Give a little determination of calling this a heifer field. So I graze the young stock in this field going forward. And so I want this paddock to be isolated from the rest of the system. Plus, on this side of the fields, not everything is fully planted, and I don't know the exact boundaries of this section. Now, the section behind me will also measure that, and I know exactly how big that area is. And you can also add little sections and fields later on. It's the using of this thing, the user interface. It took me a little bit of time to figure out, but there is so much helpful video information from More Grass, True North, on YouTube, actually. They fully explain how to use this and everything. So you don't need instructions from me on how to use this, but I'm just going to give my experience using it and a little review. So far, I love the thing, and I've only used it for about a half hour. So we're going to get going and just get it started. And start measuring grass. But I do need my phone, which is what I'm filming on. So I also, it took some time to figure out that I could record on my phone while this was recording, because it stores the information in the unit and then uplinks it to the phone, which then uplinks it to the cloud. So that's cool. Now I've taken my first point, and basically you just shoot a point in straight lines or thereabouts at the boundaries of the field that you're measuring. And then once you got the perimeter of the field recorded and it calculates the volume of field area, then you can start taking individual data points of the height of the grass. So it's just as simple as pressing it and activating the reader. Each time you want to make a data point, it alerts you to what you're doing, just like that, records a sample data point, and away we go. So I'm just going to go around and measure all the little points in this field where the perimeter is that we actually graze, and we're measuring the space that we actually graze, not the outer perimeter of the field, but the actual area, which isn't as easy all the time. Within reason, all the points to give us a total map of the field. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that, and then we'll come in around and sample the other. Sorry, it's really marshy down here. Oh, where do I want to go here? Eek. All right, I got the perimeter of the field done. Now I'm going to measure the grass cover in the field. Okay, I just took the data set of grass growth points in the field, but I just realized I forgot to exclude the fire pile in this field. So I'm gonna, because we can't graze there, I want to remove that from the area of the field calculated for forage growth. So I got to go back and do that. Well, that's unfortunate. I cannot undo without deleting the field and remapping it and retaking the data, which would only take about 10 minutes. But for now, I'll just leave that section. That won't always be there. I'll try and get rid of it this winter. It's that big pile of burnables and garbage right there. It does need to go away. That will be planted back to grass. So for now, I won't take it out and remove it from the area. I did remove the stone island in the main pasture, and that was a piece of cake to do. So I won't do it to the other pile. There's a burn pile right there that I will get rid of. So we won't remove those from the grass allocation. I'll just have to remember that there will be, while those piles are in existence, there will be less forage in the field than recorded. But I'm gonna go take care of the long, narrow field next. Won't film any of that. My phone's almost dead, and I need it to activate the grasshopper. So grasshopper, let's go measure some grass. Talk about selling ice cream to the Eskimos. I just brought milk down to the milking parlor instead of bringing it to the house where I was headed with it.
Ellie, good girls. Good girls. Good stay. Good stay, Ellie. There we go. Shall we walk? Let's walk. Come on.
Well, it may seem like spring. At night, there's the killdeer and the woodcock and the peepers now. And today we've got songbirds, but sure don't feel like it. We're in the 30s. It's just starting to snow. It's April 7th. Grass is greening in the field, despite the snow last week, I think it was. We're getting snow tonight. I need to be able to get into the field to spread some fertilizer, and that isn't going to happen as wet as it is. Yesterday was Monday, and I didn't do my field walks with the grasshopper measuring tool, but I think I may go today just to get a lay of the land to see if it's dried up at all. But with all this moisture falling from the sky over the next few days, I don't think it's going to dry up any. I do need to get out and check my hay fields as well. There's one or two of those that are drier that may be able to receive some fertilizer if I can get a chance. I need to work on the manure spreader and get it fixed.